Hey, and welcome everybody to Tech Talk Friday. It's a Friday and I made that rhyme. Well, every Friday we try to make the show a little better, so maybe I'm adding a little bit of repertoire into the show and I'm changing my position of the camera so I can see you guys directly. So welcome down to Tech Talk Friday. You know what's going to happen. We're going to discuss about tech in Malaysia, try to shed some light in some topics which could be really interesting to you. And today, especially, we're going to have something rather interesting. Definitely, we're going to actually first talk about some things that are happening in the industry. So we have Arief from SERV to talk about the next level, which SERV is going to go into. What is SERV? We'll find out in a short while. And one very important topic right now, especially when we are digitalizing so much and we're virtualizing most things so much. So, we are talking about the law, cyberspace. How do we make sense of all this? So we've got someone who's going to be joining us, giving us a 2020 review, pretty much giving us the breakdown of what happened in 2020 with COVID-19 and how are we moving into 2021. That'll be Foong from Foong Cheng Leong and Co. So that's coming up a bit later. But of course, this show is brought to you by Nicole. So if you want to accelerate your skills, growth, career, and future, ensure you go on to Nicole.app, get that. And this show goes on Nicole, and you can find so much more, whether it's leadership, whether it's technology, whatever pleasure you want to learn, you can quickly do that on Nicole in communities with people. That's the idea. And I don't do this show alone, of course. The man who actually works very hard to collect all these stories that are happening in the tech world, week in, week out, tirelessly, even though a Filipino maid is throwing entrails over the back of his house. He just told me that just now. Ladies and gentlemen, let's introduce my equal host, Karam.
Hey folks, how are you? For those regulars, you'll realize that today I've got a new background. And in case you see a splash of red across the window there, don't worry. That's like Nigel said, it's the neighbor's Filipino maid. We've got a very friendly and very give and take neighborhood. Okay, so anyway,
sure.
back to the show now.
So if you want to cook entrails, they'll be throwing that over there. I swear, Karam, I think part of the entertainment is seeing which background you're going to have every week. And speaking of background, and everybody, if you don't know already, Karam, definitely, he's from Digital News Asia. And this is the point in the show where we usually like to take a pick of some cool stories and some great stories on DNA this week. So this week, something which I think I want to have Karam talk a little bit about, because this is front and center, right? This is front and center right now. Whether this is really going to be something that changes how we work, all the different technologies that are going to interact with each other, or is this just fluff at the moment? So the article you want to go check out, you'll see the link in a short while, will be, will Malaysia's single wholesale 5G network gamble pay off? Karam, tell us about the story.
Yeah, well, this is really about, Malaysia. The government wants to accelerate the rollout of 5G. And the background is it feels that having a strong 5G network this year instead of supposed to be end of next year will help make us more attractive to foreign investors, where 5G is going to be a new hygiene factor. You expect broadband, yes, but broadband is fixed. Your electricity, roads, ports, we've got a lot of those are really world-class, no exaggeration here. So now 5G, this high-speed mobile internet, and mobile wireless network has to be world-class. So the government says, let's quickly accelerate this. So the way to accelerate this, they say, hey, instead of giving like what my colleague, my co-founder of DNA, also Edwin Yap, who wrote a 2-part story, totally worth your while to go and watch it, read it. You watch me, but you go and read his article, is that he just spoke to various industry people. And so this is talking about, is this a gamble and could it pay off? So I wouldn't go so far as to say it's a gamble. It's a risk, yeah. But, I like to see us do different things as possible and challenge the status quo. It's not been done before in the sense that they're going to use something called a single wholesale network. So the entire network is going to be on 5G, okay?
Right.
And normally, if you give it out to a third party, which means you give it to your mobile telcos. We've got 4 mobile telcos, right?
Yeah.
And you give them, a little slivers of it, and they go and
could turn to 3 soon.
4G.
Could turn to 3 soon.
Yes. Sorry again.
Could turn to 3 soon.
Oh yeah, correct. Thank you very much. But no, they will, because they've already got a 4G network built.
Right.
So they'll use 4G as much as possible, then use 5G, and the two interplay with each other. But
Right.
here now, the government is saying it's building a pure 5G network on its own because it can, and also because it's got the money, it will roll it out first. So our government says that let it be government-led, because then you cut through red tape, because it's easier for a state to tell you mobile, to tell DG or Maxis, right? Hey, got problem, I know this and that, blah, 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 blah. But if it's the federal government talking to you, it's a different story, right? Federal government got leverage over the state, and anyone in the telco space will tell you if there's a slow rollout, it's because the telcos who all got their own state agencies to give you permission to build a tower on a rooftop or to build a standalone tower. They always play dirty, or you want to play dirty, they're just trying to make it that you will want to pay them more money to, hey, can you just quickly do, I will give you more money to do it faster, instead of, your 5,000 ringgit and wait for you to go to your jazz, right? So they're playing a dirty game, honestly. So government say, we don't want that, because 5G is for us critical importance. One, cut through red tape, speed up deployment, because the government will roll out it right away and not worry about, rolling out in the Klang Valley first, or Penang or JB, which is what's going to happen if you get the big four, or big three, or big two, right? Big three eventually,
Big
right? Do that, because they're going to be commercially driven. Which customers are going to pay for this service? I'll do it there first. Government doesn't want that. It wants to try to have as much as possible a uniform network. So it says these are the reasons why we're coming in. But a lot of problems from a technical standpoint, okay? And Edwin's story talks about significant technical points, financial impediments, according to industry analysts, right? Not Edwin. So very interesting people who've covered the telco space for a long time, saying this is a big challenge taken on by the Malaysian government. But to me, it's not impossible, okay? And you've got a very good world-class CEO in Ralph Marshall. Just don't get on the wrong side of him. He'll cut you down, So, who's heading this, and he's a total no-nonsense guy. I expect he's going to build an A-plus team, and they're going to be able to do the best job possible, I think, in rolling this out.
Great. So to everybody out there, to go check out the story, because I'm also now curious to know that
totally worth it.
Yeah, we've heard of the technical challenges of 5G. It's great that the government wants to do this centralized. Now it gives opportunity to everybody to get it. But how are we going to overcome that technical challenge of 5G? So go check out the story. And we've got 3 other stories for you to check out. Just a quick mention on it. One of the stories is... Sorry, Karam, you wanted to say something?
No, you mentioned the 3 stories. Yeah, go ahead.
So the one of it is SkyMine appoints Yasmin Muhammad as chairperson.
Yasmin
Mahmood. Sorry, Yasmin Mahmood as chairperson to open new growth chapter. Go check that out. Another one is this is actually a very hot topic as well. PCOM strongly urges Ministry of Transport to reinstate cabotage exemptions. Now, if you don't know what cabotage is, this is the infrastructure to actually put together all the undersea cables, and there's been a lot of back and forth with the government of who's going to do it, who's going to hold the contract. So there is a success factor to the My Digital aspiration here as well. So go check out that story. Next would be will Khairi Jamaluddin have, how do I even pronounce his name? Zulera's back. Oh, well, Khairi Jamaluddin have Zulera's back. So a little bit of this story is the Malaysian Science, Technology, Innovation Minister puts his faith in Zulera Abu Bakar. But let's see, he must back her up to hilt 24/7 as she tackles the biggest challenges of her career. Go read that story. All right. Now, speaking of stories, let's get to the meat of this week. And this week, we're going to start off first, and let's bring him on together. Arief Imran, GCEO of SERV. Let's bring Arief on. And as we bring Arief on, Arief, I want to say a big hi to you, but I actually also want to make special mention to our producer who's in the background, Sashi Kesavan. You don't see him, he's there, but he left us a comment. Hey, Nigesh and Karam, still hustling on eve of Labor Day. There you go. That's not only us, also our 2 guests who also hustling this Tech Talk to actually come to you and give you some insights. So Arief, what's up, Arief? How are you?
Hi guys. Hi Nigesh and Karam.
Very good.
Hi everyone who's watching.
Thank you.
Hi.
Look, I'll get into this. So we brought Arief on because this in a way a competitor, but not direct. Pullman, which is the we had Pullman on the show before, right? So
Yeah.
they're the new kid on the block, and they getting a bit of attraction and acceleration and brand visibility. But as soon as I was pitched the Pullman story, I remembered SERV, right, and Arief, and I said, hey, how are these guys doing? So I had a conversation with Arief, and it's very interesting. And then also, but the latest news is that they've actually successfully raised a round of funding through pitching. And I'll let Arief tell you how much that is, and that's going to help set them up for the next stage. But Arief, launched SERV also back in 2017. So it went live in 2018, and he built the app, right, without technical knowledge and with just a part-time CTO. And even the part-time CTO was just not even part-time, I think less than half of his time. And I was just saying that the guts and the grit of Arief we had a nice 1 hour conversation of understanding his limitations, then overcoming his limitations, right, is the hustle of the entrepreneur, right? So if you see Arief now, this young man has exhibited to me, he's got what it takes. He's got the hustle of the entrepreneur to give his business the best chance to succeed. And a lot of various things he's talking about, and he was also very honest. Like when the app went up and it was not really fully ready, and they were overwhelmed, and and they had to do a lot of manual stuff at the back end. So all that was come out and say, hey, he would make a good guest on our show. And I guess, and Arief doesn't know I'm going to ask him this question, but we didn't really discuss this. But from your entrepreneurial journey so far, and before we get into the funding you've raised, right, and your lessons learned from the first 3 years of this one, how do you feel you have grown or regressed as an entrepreneur maybe over the last 3 years?
I think I've learned a lot.
Regress, I don't know, so I'm allowing you to say that.
I think I've learned a lot for the past 3.5 years, right, since I started SERV. So that is what I value the most, basically. I have been in business even when I was younger, right? Before 20 actually, but it was a conventional business, not as fast moving and as fast requirement to learn as how I built SERV in the tech scene, right? So it's like totally different game. So last time it was just simple. Now it's like, because I jumped into like a totally new scene, basically. I know nothing about tech before, so the only tech that I know is how to use it, not to build it. Right. So basically, but I enjoy learning, basically. A lot of things, like at first it's about learning about the product, how to build it, how to understand the requirements and all. So how to do wrongly, right? How to do mistake and all that, right? And then after that, how to build the team until I reach this far, basically. So
motivate the team. But why don't you quickly tell people what SERV is when it started and what the product is today? Because today you're saying it's version 3.0, right?
Yeah, currently it's actually already version 4.
Wow.
The product that we had back in the days, the evolution of product just become one of the product that we have now. So that's basically it. So at first, SERV basically was started back then, early 2017 Early 2017, we had this idea, right? But it actually really rolled out or being incorporated all that since Q3 of 2017. But the idea of it is just, to serve people. So that's why the name is SERV. So I just took out the E basically, so that I can register as branding. I can register as trademark. So to serve people through innovation and technology, just that. But because of my background of automotive, I did supply engine oil. I have a network. I know some networks of workshops and all that. So I think that, maybe I could start with something, right, to come into this space and look at the industry that I know better, right? So that's how we found this idea of starting SERV. Why not? And then looking at the scene, a lot of solutions already popping up at that time, right?
At that time also.
Different scenes, F&B, like lorry and all that. But in automotive, there was not so significant player in the market, dominant player in the market. So we think that maybe this is a space, right? So we come into the scene. So at first, the idea was just, let's say come into the scene. How do I start it, right? So at first, because inspiration of something like Uber, Grab, and all that, why not? We have these problems in automotive space, in vehicle ownership as well. Why don't we try to do that, right? So we adopt the idea, right? Build something quite similar, but we try to.
When Arief say adopt the idea, means Grab met supply and demand. So they wanted to match supply and demand with workshops, okay? And the pain point is that almost everyone I know feels that they're getting ripped off by their workshops, right? If you build a relationship with the mechanic, it absolutely improves and gets better. But if you're going to a workshop for the first time or second time, you know that they may not blatantly cheat you, but the margins are right. Something a part may cost 20 ringgit, they say it's cost 50 ringgit, right? And especially if you're a woman, woe and behold, watch out, right? So and his app was also that's why he found that when they first launched it, surprisingly, women took to it more than men, and because women don't want to go to workshops, right? And so because his app actually in version 1, Nigesh, it tells the mechanics to go to the house, so it's like a house call. Okay, version 1, and that's why, of course, women, right, don't want to go to a mechanic shop. It's dirty, high heels, get suddenly snapped or whatever, right? And all these guys are in their black singlets, and then on the walls you got this skimpy, calendar girls and all that. So all totally fertile ground for women not to want to go there. So that's why they found the early customers were women, and they try to make that work lah. So, but what was the challenge though in that early version, Arief?
So the challenge is actually not the demand, no, definitely not the demand. So we got the demand.
Exactly.
Well, but the challenge is actually the matching mechanism, the matching mechanics. So that was the challenge. So we did validate the demand. So we started not by building the app first, actually. We started by just taking orders using WhatsApp, Facebook, landing page, a very ugly landing page. If I look back at it, right? So, but the thing is, we did get the demand, but when we built the app, right, we did engagement with all these workshops or providers and all that, we call it. But when we really launched it, we really released the product. So the matching doesn't really work. So we thought that it was going to be something like Grab or Uber like last time. So I mean, someone order, and then some guys like
instantly, right?
Available, and then ping, so accept, and then just match, go there, right? But it doesn't work that way, because the behavior of our providers and people like e-hailing providers, e-hailing drivers, they just when they click available, they just put in front of the face, right, waiting in the car. So when the thing, they can just click accept. But behavior of workshops, the mechanic, so what they do is they just put their phone maybe in the drawer or at the counter or somewhat, right? So basically, when we released the product, there were demands, but the matching didn't really happen. It matched. The first month we got one match, but it was pre-set up, basically.
First month, one match.
Wow.
One match. Okay. One enough to drive two co-founders to punch each other. They say, "You idiot! I told you wouldn't work." But they say, "Hey guys, where's the problem? Right? Problem solving, right? And iterate on the spot. Hey, this is just a momentary." A blip. How do we overcome this? So that's what they did. That's a micro learning there. Okay, carry on.
The real match was just the automated match was just one. So others are all the irrational. So we did the call and all that. But the thing is,
okay. So sorry, Arief. I need to explain. When you says call, basically what Arief was doing, that he and his co-founder and one more person frantically at the back end were calling the mechanic. Hey, Macha, got somebody wants a car. I want somebody to go to the house hall. And then when they call, then the mechanics hear the phone in the drawer, go, hey, what do you want? Yes, sir. Please go and accept the order. They were making mechanics to accept orders, okay, manually. Because like you said, mechanic behavior is different, right? Whereas your Grab and all, the phone is right in front. You're constantly looking while even driving you. You see, they mechanics are busy underneath the car, on top of the car, or in between the car, and they got no time to check their handphone, right? You got to focus on your job. Right? So amazing, very different. So the matching, that's why it didn't happen the way I expected. Okay, Arief, I just want to really explain to the audience.
Before that, I got a question. Was Karam working for you at any one point? Because he seems to know the story very intimately at this point.
No, because I want people to understand how it is. Because Arief was just explaining, the car first look at it and the mechanic doesn't. So people understand that, because all of us have experiences. Mechanics' phones are not with them. Maybe now they carry their phone. Actually, they may not lah. So the behavior is very different. And also, when Arief was doing his, asking the market what they wanted, mechanics said they wanted it. But actually what they wanted and what their behavior in the workshop was totally different. So for everyone out there, when you do your market survey or whatever, be aware that the people who respond to you may not be telling you what's actually the case. And you're going to have to take your knocks before you learn the truth. and you cannot go and screw them up because you need them, right? So it's amazing balance lah. Okay, carry on, Arief.
In future, if you need an ambassador or mascot, there you got one already.
Yeah.
Can do that for you. But Arief, how did you solve that problem?
So the thing is,
good question.
What I learned, right? So when we call MVP, minimum viable product, it has to be minimum. Right? You cannot get fully automated zero human intervention on day one. You cannot get that. So what we did last time is that we tried to get fully automated. So zero human interventions, just 2%, but we don't need to do anything. Everything is automated. So we envision something like that, but it doesn't work that way. So we need to really go manual. So I reached out for some mentors, some friends like seniors in startups. So basically they said that you have to go manual, ambil order guna WhatsApp. Okay, understand. So the second version is actually a downgrade version of technology. So
imagine
a downgrade technology. Yeah. So we downgrade, we make it as a booking form, and then we handle it manually at the back, right? So we kind of off the command, but the app is still there. So
version 3 now, because we are okay. Sorry, Arief, we are running out of time. So version 3 now. Version 3.
Yeah, version 3 we started to introduce. We call it as vehicle ownership. So it's not about services that we provide anymore, but we want to increase the stickiness. So we introduce something as a concept called vehicle ownership. Means about you and your vehicle. Means you save your vehicles in digital. So in the current words, people are saying about digital twin, but we created digital twin of the ownership of your vehicle since back then lah, from 2019 actually. So we
digital twin. Okay, that was a sexy word back then. So digital twin.
Now people talk about digital twin, but back then we call it as you have your physical car in a digital version inside your app, right? So we started to introduce that, and then we explore more services to be on board in our platform. So now the main app is we call it as vehicle super app, because we want everything about vehicle all in that one single platform.
Okay, Karan, before you ask the question that you wanted to ask at the very beginning, which is now SERV going to the next level, I just want to understand this. What is the benefit of having a digital twin of your vehicle in the app in the first place? Because I'm trying to wrap my head around it.
Yeah, I think one thing is about for now is about whatever that you did with and to your vehicle can be trackable, can be traced back.
Okay.
So
right.
I mean, the record keeping, sometimes you don't know whatever being checked. This is the norm. All the workshop and all that, they will check your vehicle, right? Inspect the point and all that. But the thing is, where is the paper, right?
Right.
You will never keep it, right? So
I was just thinking about all the receipts and everything.
Yeah.
Right.
So sometimes it's just being kept by them, so you don't know, you just pay, right? But the thing is, we make that information accessible to you as a vehicle owner. So that is we call as vehicle ownership. Means you really own your information. So I think in future we can unlock more things. Means the better you maintain your vehicles, maybe your second-hand car, second price will be higher. Right, the better you wash or maybe service, maintain, and all that. Something like that. The worse you do it, means the worse your car price for second. It can unlock more things actually.
Right. I can imagine a few things, but I think Karan, go ahead.
Funding now. Let's go to your funding, and what's next for you guys. Also, you talk about your vehicle workshop management system, right? Or that's the current version.
Yeah, I think another thing is that that app is especially for the customers, but for the vendors, right? Last time we just focus on the customers, but we kind of not really look at the vendors. But the thing is, the vendors need more things. So the vendors is very, very important. So I think the current phase of us is since last year, we really focus on the vendors. So it's not just about the platform to get orders, but we really provide them a workshop management, a business management system. So basically, they can track orders, they can have a CRM, they can have inventory, workforce management, and all that. So having that, even they can use our system not just for the customers that come from the SERV app. So they can have their own customers. They can use that platform too.
Right.
So this is to digitize. So he's helping now to digitize workshops also. Okay, now let's talk about your funding, right? You raise how much, if you want to share that, or you want to wait for me to put in my story, up to you, and go ahead.
So recently we just closed our round actually last month. So we raised through ECF. So the total amount of 1.5 0.06 lah, something million ringgit. So that is actually to strengthen ourselves in the local market, and also to have a pilot in another market actually by end of the year.
Fantastic. So SERV is going to be serving customers overseas, man. Excellent.
Yeah.
All right. I think I like that part where when I was hearing your chronology, you started from version 1, you downgraded, and it seems like now, after going through the lessons, now you are finally addressing the problem that appeared in version 1, which I think is natural because I relate to you completely. I am also a product developer as well. I have an app that I'm developing, and I'm thinking back from the days that we started developing it till now. Your story resounds with me from where we created. We thought this is going to happen, this is going to work, and find out a problem. Oh no, let's downgrade first. Let's do things manually for a while until we figure it out.
Is that product first? Minimum viable product. There's a why it is called minimum. So it has to be really minimum. Just roll out.
Yeah. So I think it's great what you're doing, and we're gonna have you back in a short while again, Arief. So don't go anywhere. Stay there. We want to get your final words later on.
And by the way, MVP, the word MVP, I learned there's another meaning also. Minimum viable planet, because we had Earth Day last week, right? So there's apparently also a term called minimum viable planet. It means how many of us the planet can comfortably, accommodate. So
what's the number, Karam?
I didn't look at the number, but it's definitely it's around where we are now, so so if you want to have kids, anyone out there, stop at 6, okay? Don't go beyond 6. You're going to be
6. Oh my God! In this day and age, you want to have 6 kids. I'm sorry, I have 1 and I'm done.
Oh man, I gotta have a family planning talk with you after the show.
Oh my. Okay. Arief, thanks. We'll catch you again in a short while. We'll have you on. And as we bring up the next person, guys, remember the comment section is there. If you're watching us on either LinkedIn or on Facebook, just comment away if you got a question for either Arief or for the next guest we're going to bring on. Shoot away. I will call the question up a bit later on. Right now, let's go to our next guest. I think this one, he's very technical when I read all his write-ups. And I think is indeed, I'm learning law terms as I'm reading his write-up.
Yeah.
But it's important. It's an important conversation we're having, not only just in Malaysia, but all around the world. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's bring him up. Foong Cheng Leong, advocate and solicitor, or in simple terms, lawyer at Foong Cheng Leong and Co. And we're going to talk about cyberspace and the law in Boleh Land, a 2020 review. Yeah. Welcome, Foong.
Hi, everyone.
Hey, bro. So, look, for all of you, Foong has done all the hard work, right? This is his passion. He loves it. He goes through all the cases from the previous year, and of course, he tracks them throughout the year, so it doesn't start like January 1st, or go through all that. But he keeps an eye on them, and he picks out the most interesting that can possibly interesting from a human aspect, but most probably interesting from a corporate, and a perspective also, right? And the human aspect may be human interest, but also us as individuals, because at some point somebody's gonna maybe slander us or cross the limit, right? Over between being critical and versus being slanderous or whatever. So he's gone through all that, and he's got a wealth of cases, right? And what I find interesting is his stories he put in a lot of work. It's like almost 8,000 word article. I had to divide it into 3 parts. And even the previous year's articles, sometimes end of the month, I may want to look at how our articles did for the past month, right? And then I'll do like a January 2020 search, and suddenly an article from 2018 will pop up there, and sometimes it'll be from him, what he wrote in 2018, like suddenly or two, not many but because it's old, right? But 200-300 people in January are reading an article from 18 months ago, and I figure it's probably university students who had an assignment, or maybe researchers, right? So there's a lot of value to what he does. I really appreciate it. And thank you for all the hard work you put in, right, Foong? And he's got a book also. I hope you share your book with the producer so you can put the link there for your book. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. And with that, maybe I just send the floor to you. Share with us maybe what you thought some of the key, highlight cases for last year, right? And why you think it matters to all of us listening.
Okay. Well, I've been writing yearly articles like this since 2008. So, and as every year we progress, I find we are actually progressing very slow, except for last year. And where last year, what is significant is the increase of use of online hearing. So in the past, the years before, you actually have to go to court physically. So
physical.
when you come to court physically, you got parking spaces, you got to be there and by 9, and then so on and so forth. But when the lockdown was announced, basically the entire court closed. And before that, there was some, the court were pushing lawyers, let's try to go online. And the judges were also pushed to say, hey, let's go online, hear the cases. But when the court closed, nobody had access to the court, and nobody had access to justice, and no lawyers got paid because the court
no lawyer got paid. Okay.
and because and all the cases, you do not know when they're going to hear it. So basically, all the thousands of cases were all pushed to next year, which is this year. So and there was a KPI set by the previous Chief Justice to finish up cases by 9 months.
Tun Zaki, you're talking about Tun Zaki? Okay.
Yes, all those days, those 9 months KPI are now all down the drain.
All down the window. Out the window.
So what we are having now, if you want to have a case filed this year, you will probably have it here next year, end of next year. So which is not very good for many of us. So that is immediately with this introduction of the virtual hearing. What the court did is they had, because there's no time to develop their own platform, so what they did is let's just use Zoom. And most of them are Zoom. Sometimes we get Google Hangout. Sometimes you get Microsoft Teams. So there are various things going on. So then it comes to the lawyers. So when the lawyers need to present the case, the younger ones will be, of course, it's so easy. What I do is just share screen and then I'll read the text and so on. So when I was going on, I go to court as well. So when I have opponents who are slightly a bit older, so they had problem adjusting this. So they were talking as if they are in the court. And when they make references to the document, they will try to say, can you please look at page this and that, and without all of us will jump out what document are looking at. Let's say there are about 50 or 60 documents there. So it becomes very inconvenient, and then of course you have the issue of audio quality. Some people are talking and then suddenly they just went silent for 10 minutes. And reconnect. So there were some hiccups, but I can tell you that once this online hearing came about, cases just went on very smoothly. So I think we must thank COVID-19 in a way for pushing a bit of a digitalization in the court system. So that one is that is an interesting part, and of course worth mentioning is the calls to the bar. When you want to be admitted as a lawyer, you need to appear before the judge, and then they'll have a senior lawyer saying that how good you are, what university you went, you had a good training, and then they will call you to the bar. But with COVID-19, all courts shut down. A lot of pupils who finished their training of 9 months cannot be qualified as a lawyer. So they were all stuck for probably 6 months, 7 months without being qualified and getting the first year associate pay, or even getting a job, or they cannot appear in court. So that created a lot of backlog, and fortunately the court took I think sometime probably in September or October, say, okay, let's do it online. So then we had a Zoom admission to the court. So in the old days, it's a very ceremonious way. You go to court with a bunch of friends, your family will come with flowers, soft toy, sometimes with a banner, congratulations, and then your picture.
Anybody brought a Bangra band? Anyone bring a Bangra group? Because so many lawyers no imagination, my community.
You just stereotyped.
So far, none. So now they're all stuck in the office. They wear the robe themselves in the court. The call to the bar, the ceremony has been around since I think 1800s. It's been more than 200 years since we have this call to the bar admission, physically. And only these few years, the past few 10, 20 years, it became a bit more ceremonious. So that one became a bit more, changed. Basically, the tradition changed completely.
Correct.
Yeah.
So at least use digital, right? You adapted and jalan. People got their certs, they can practice, right? That's the most important at the end of the day.
Correct. So then of course it comes to what hardware you got to buy, and we're going to buy, like what Nigesh using, very nice mic, and some of us end up using the phone, and then use the pre-installed mic. They just have to use that lah. And some have to go and buy a very nice camera, with the ring light and all pretty in the, before the court and judges lah.
Correct. Yeah. No, but not only that. I think every lawyer now has probably invested all over the world, right? They've invested in good mics, because your audio is actually more important than video, even, right? I could argue, if you had to choose between one, audio is much important, especially when you're making arguments. So,
correct. So that came, with that audio and visual thing, that comes to the story of the lawyer becoming a kitten or cat before the judges in the US.
Right.
So the guy basically, he clicked on the wrong button and he became a cat.
Correct.
Yes.
Video. So that went viral, and unfortunately he could not undo it, and that demonstrates how incapable certain lawyers are when they deal with online things.
It's all over. But the thing is that people have adapted now, and would you say that the judiciary today is better for it, because now you've got the option of physical and virtual?
Yes, judges nowadays, depending on judges, they will also prefer, some of them to prefer online. But I realized after the lockdown was lifted, a lot of judges would want the lawyers to come to court. I think it makes it's more practical in a way. When you look at documents, you have the physical document and you speak to the person. It's all sorted out within a couple of minutes. But of course, before that, you're going to look at what the lawyers do. The lawyers will prepare the court case. Wake up early, make sure they skip the jam. But now it's all in the bedroom and you can do the court hearing. So pros and cons. I don't mind both, depending how complicated my case is. If it's a very straight, I don't need to I'm going to wake up 2 hours earlier just to go to court. I can just wake up 10 minutes earlier for that.
So a question, because I've experienced this, and this I give a talk on quite often: contextuality and understanding, right? When you're doing something virtually versus you're physically there, and you kind of touched on it, where if you're physically there, there's this feeling or there's this ability for you to kind of sort through information a bit more quickly and also a bit more accurately compared to when you're doing it online. There's a bit more of a back and forth for you to understand something. Is that something that you faced, or is that the kind of challenges that is there right now when we're doing things virtually versus physically, especially when it comes to law?
Yes, I think the law problem will come to cross-referencing. So, we got thousands of pages of documents, and when it's physical, you remember things, you play back on your mind and say, okay, this document was in this page and it was in this bundle in this color. But when you deal with an online document, all you remember is the file name and the page. If you are lucky, you have it OCR, you can find the keywords and you can find the file. So that when you speak, you want to make it seamless. When you submit, you want to make it seamless. The judge, wow, so pleasant. Like just like giving a concert. You gave good, not like you suddenly you say, I can stop 5 minutes and let me find the document. So when it's physical and when it's online, it makes a lot of difference. I say. That's why some cases have been pushed back. The lawyers themselves say, I do not want online hearing. I want to go to physical hearing.
Right. And when this then cause a little bit of problem with those you mentioned, some are getting their bar or their ability to practice law in this time, and they're not going to know the better because for them it's going to be this virtual thing. That's where they're starting off from, versus the physical face-to-face one. So this is going to be a concern for them, isn't it?
Correct. So when it comes to physical court, it's not just appearing in the court. You got to talk to before judges. You got to talk to the court staff. You got to talk this and that registrar and so on and so forth. There's a lot of, and then you talk to your peers, your friends, and get to know people. That builds up your practice. And now with the online hearing, all you need to do is appear before the judge straight away. You will not know the process behind it anymore. In the old days, you really have to be in court. In the early, you're going to talk to this person, the staff there, the interpreter, and you can get things moving better. So the juniors, I would say, they missed out quite a lot with this online hearing.
Right. Right.
Well, it's just the new one lah. But so my first question, Foong, can you share with our listeners what you felt were some of the highlight cases for you last year and why it's important?
Okay, I think the main highlight of the case is this case by the name of, let me just pull out the case name.
Okay.
It's called Mashita against Sakina binti Sulong. This is a very, I think it will resonate to a lot of people. It's defamation case, online defamation. So basically, someone published something, it went viral, and the person being defamed went to sue for it. So when you, in defamation cases, when you determine whether the contents is defamatory, who do you think should consider it as defamatory? So basically, do you think maybe the person putting it say, hey, this is the truth, and I'm just giving my opinion, and nothing is defamatory. So then, of course, the plaintiff say, hey, this is to me and my friends, they're all defamatory. And assuming that, I use some jargons, online jargons, which some people don't even like hashtags and all those things. So would a person who on the street, let's say, put my father or my mother to read this and be like, hey, what is this? What's this cross thing here? I don't understand. So in this case, which is interesting, is because the judge in the High Court, the Judicial Commission, the High Court basically says that the person who determines whether this content is defamatory is an online netizen. Basically, the person, the reasonable netizen reading it, does she consider it as defamatory? So you bear in mind that Malaysians, when they publish statements these days, it's a mixture of languages. They mix English, they mix Bahasa, sometimes they put it in Chinese, sometimes they put, some Bayi language there also.
Yeah,
so
people
just, it becomes, but as people of different races, when we look at it, hey, I understand what it means. So I think this case is one important point, which basically sets the standard of the person to consider when this thing is defamatory or not. So that one, and in that case, the court granted damages of 200,000 ringgit. So one posting, and basically the judge says, one, it is on the internet, one is a World Wide Web. The bell cannot be unrung. It is released in the wilderness of the World Wide Web. So what is said cannot be unsaid. So damage. I think I also done. I think there were some big cases out there. You can read some of the cases that is still pending in court. I did not mention it.
Yeah.
So, but a lot of cases that content went viral. People don't read what the original content is.
They read the comments and the comments to the comments. Okay.
Yes. So then they twist a certain statement, and it becomes viral. People don't see the actual thing. So and then people just share and it becomes the damage is permanent It's nowadays you're talking about mental health and all those things. Right. And when you talk about defamatory, it doesn't really talk about damage to your reputation is one thing, but damage to mental health is something that is not spoke about. Because those days you just publish newspaper, okay, yes, my reputation very bad. That's all.
Yeah.
But now your reputation, your mental health, people will be commenting on you. People will send you random messages. Wow. Sometimes people create messages who create accounts for just to send you some nasty message, say, I'm going to throw your in the river, I'm going to beat you up, don't come out to the streets, and all those things. You put fears onto you. So, and then some people will just, I don't know what they do, they will just sometimes use your image to superimpose in certain other things. Yeah. So, I would say, once you are, and then another thing is what people always do is they like to bring the mob to burn the house, in other words. So, it's lynching in those days in the American terms.
Correct.
Without knowing, you see the black guy on the street, okay, whack him, and then you tie him on the tree. So now it's online, it's the online version of it.
Yeah.
You saw this guy seems to be not talking nasty things, then drag him on the road, and do all sorts of things. But this time it's a more virtual thing. So there's no law, and Malaysia there's no law to govern that as of yet.
So that's why in this case you say sets a precedent
In this case, is there's no information, and you publish it on, let's say, comment section, and you ask people, hey, this is the house. And then they ask, okay, some random person say, oh, I'm going to go to his house now and throw stones at his house. So doxing is not a criminal act in Malaysia yet.
Wow. I didn't know that. I never even heard of the word doxing before. Fantastic. Thanks, man, Foong.
Yes, it's a phenomenon happening now. It's happening every day. And every week you see someone being doxed.
Wow.
The netizens will find a new victim every week.
Right. So, Foong, because we're running out of time, probably I want to get this one question, and then we're going to bring Arief back on. And you touched on something super interesting right there, where the online media, especially social media, has become a media form. That's the key thing. When it started out, it was just a space, an echo chamber. But now it's become an important media form that people either grasp reality from, and that's the important word there, grasp reality and news from. So therefore, that's why we're having this conversation about credibility. And I think this whole thing about bullying or social lynching or cyber lynching in some spaces as well, because there's no sense of gravitas. There's no sense of reality attached to it, because if you do it in physical form, you feel it, you see it, you actually really mentally get that whole picture of how bad this is. But there's no sense of responsibility when you just type it out and go. So my question is this: those who are writing the laws, right, if you're aware of it, how are they going about writing the laws, of approaching this law when there's this fight against, we need to regulate this, but at the same time, this whole space was created for freedom of expression in the first place. So how are you going about that?
And cyberspace, remember, it's a God-free zone, okay? God doesn't exist in cyberspace.
I can tell you, it is almost impossible to write a law that will be effective. Well, you can just write anything you want, but to enforce it, it is just not possible unless everyone can be traced and everyone can be taken, can find the person physically Now everybody has the right to anonymity. They're fighting for their right. I want to be known as certain nickname. I don't want my full name to be there. And of course I don't want people to come to my house and stalk me and all those things. So there's a fight between the right to anonymity, your right to privacy, and the fight not to be defamed. So you can see, of course, we can see a lot of laws outside the Malaysia to address this, but effectively it's impossible. When we are just dealing one case, we had data obtained from Instagram in the US. It took us months to get it, 6 to 9 months to get it. When we come back with the IP address, we went to the local internet service providers and we presented them with the data, and they come back and say, sorry, we don't have data, or they will come and say, hey, we only keep data for only 3 months. So this anonymous fellas basically got out scot-free and he got away with whatever is done.
Slender,
okay. It's a very difficult process.
But that's why I like the one case where the person sued Facebook Malaysia, right? Because it was on your platform, and I thought that was very significant. I know we're running out of time, but I felt that was significant because now if somebody's anonymous, you can go after Facebook Malaysia, and I thought that was significant, and everyone should read that part 2 of his article. Actually, very interesting.
Very quickly, I don't want to cover that case. You see, as I mentioned, if you want to go to get data from Facebook or Instagram, you got to go to their country to get it.
Correct.
But in this case, we can actually serve the documents. You file the court in Malaysia and serve the document and say Facebook Malaysia. This is the document for Facebook Incorporated in the US. You accept it. I don't need to go to USA and they don't get the order. So in the case, the High Court just say, yes, that is correct. Just serve it to Facebook Malaysia because they are somehow an agent under the law.
True.
Right.
So,
okay.
Very nice.
Very interesting conversation. I think this is going to go on if we continue. So let's bring Arief back in to join Foong. Yes, it's already 6:50. So, Karam, what would you like to grill Arief on as final words?
Arief, as you move forward now, right? How are you gonna take the next step for SERV?
I mean, the next step means, I think I answered this before, right? So the next step means, like I shared earlier. So this year is about, we ambition to become, to be global, to go global.
So your first step to going global.
So we really want to go global by this year. I hope we can achieve it before the end of the year, right? At least a pilot in another market. So we are actually eyeing on two market at the same time, but maybe we're going to focus on one first. Then if that works, then we are going to expand more lah. So that's the target of this year. At the same time, we are also at the back of our garage lah, basically. At the back of our R&D, we're also like doing some deep R&D stuff lah, basically.
Right. Any hints you can drop on what potentially the R&D is going to bring out?
So
just the tease.
It's autonomous vehicle, basically.
Whoa. Okay.
Yeah.
Autonomous vehicle.
Yeah.
You guys are really living up that V in your name there, SERV.
Yeah. So just wait stay tuned lah for the news.
Stay tuned. Okay, man.
Okay. And for Foong, probably like you just spoke about the review of 2020, right? Where virtualizing the law system had to happen because of COVID. What do you think is going to be the most important thing to look at for 2021 when it comes to law in Malaysia?
Oh, well, that's a difficult question.
Crystal balling.
I think one thing is the seamless delivery of justice. Basically, you need to clear the backlog, and the court, I think, have to work over the clock to clear the backlog So, I think you should have cases until middle of the night to just clear the backlog. And to me, that is one thing everybody has to do
And it's not a standing target, right? Backlog now, but there's going to be more and more cases added on top of it as you move along, right?
Every year is going to be more and more cases. I don't remember any year that cases actually went down.
Oh, really? But I thought with the economy going into a shock last year, right? Cases would have come down. Right? You mean there were still bad intentions and disagreements all happening last year also that carry forward to cases this year?
Yes. Well, one thing it should be quite common. The stats are not out yet, but I think one thing will be out is the debt recovery, because people have no money.
Right.
So people have to sue for money.
Okay.
So people are online more, so people want to sue for more defamation cases.
Oh,
you have
It's going to be interesting to watch. So anyway, we've run quite a bit over time, but thank you both you gentlemen, Arief and also Foong, for actually having such a great conversation with us. Thank you so much, both of y'all. And of course, to our listeners out there, Tech Talk Friday, thank you for staying with us. If you are still with us until 6:54, thank you so much. I know it's going to be time to for some of y'all to berbuka puasa. And to Arief, actually, we are not probably going to see you before this, but I want to say Selamat Hari Raya to you.
Okay, thank you.
Right? And to my equal partner, Karam, now you can go play tennis with your neighbor over that fence over there behind there. So, ladies and gentlemen, before we end, remember, go on to Digital News Asia, like we spoke about what Foong has been writing on. I've actually gone through 2 of his articles, and it's quite exhaustively good. That's the important thing. Exhaustively good. It gives you a lot of good information. It taught me a little bit of law jargon as well as I went on. So go on to Digital News Asia to catch on all the news stories for tech in Asia, including maybe some things on SERV as well. The other thing is also for those of y'all, the Nicole is brought to you. The show is brought to you by Nicole. And if you want to get your Nicole right now, go on to Nicole.app, and there's a rolling promo code RoshanLee30, and you get a discount on Nicole if you do that right now. Now, to end the show, we know tomorrow is Labor Day. The 4 of us have been hustling all the way until 7 o'clock just to close this off. Now we can go and have a Labor Day break. But for everyone out there, we want to give you this video and wish you happy Labor Day tomorrow. And we will see everybody real soon on next week, Tech Talk Friday.
Okay.
Yes, it's a holiday weekend. It's Labor Day. And it's time for all of us to take a break. I know what you're thinking. I don't need a break. I need to work and work and work. But here's 3 scientifically proven reasons why you need to take a break. Reason number 1, breaks keep us focused. They help us from moving away from boredom into relaxation and then back to the work. It helps us get focused. Reason number 2, breaks are great for our brain. When we take a break, our brain gets to rest and process the information. Breaks are necessary for us to be able to process the information and make it come alive. And the third scientific reason why we need to take a break is because breaks give us an opportunity to reevaluate our goals. When we take a break, we get to reflect, we get to reevaluate our goals, and we get to refocus ourselves back to the goal. So breaks are important. And so this Labor Day weekend, take a break. Have a Kit Kat maybe. And have a good time with your family and friends. Happy Labor Day. Selamat Hari Pekerja kepada semua rakyat Malaysia.